Over the first 8 years that she lived in Akko, since completing her military service, Mirit has spearheaded and participated in a range of educational projects in the city. For 4 years, she worked as a counselor at the Special Youth Center that offers a second home for at-risk adolescents, and later spent 2 years as the center's manager. She has established and led the first ever group of Arab youth to attend the National NOAL Youth Movement Leadership Training course from Akko. This led to the establishment of the Akko Shared Society Center in 2015. The Shared Society Center runs joint activities for some 200 Jewish and Arab youth every year. In recent years, Mirit has been at the forefront of the campaign to purchase a new building and home for the Akko Educators Kibbutz to house 60 educators, as well as educational, cultural, and social activities for hundreds of Akko locals. Mirit was also working on Dror Israel's High School for Youth at Risk in Haifa, where she taught business skills and entrepreneurship to 10th and 11th graders, and established a new social business with the teens where they run and manage everything. Mirit also teaches sexual positive lessons to teenagers and gives talks about her journey as a lesbian in the periphery of Israel through Dror Israel's educational initiative for sex education in schools in Israel. Mirit lives with her partner Shiri and their son Uriah in Akko. Unfortunately, Carmi can't be with us today, but Carmi, Tint, and Eyal Tarchitzky are members of Dror Israel as well, a grassroots educational organization, and live in Dror's educators community in Sderot, less than 2 miles from the Gaza Strip. On October 7th, Carmi was alone with their 7-month-old daughter for close to 48 hours in their safe room while Hamas terrorists brutally murdered residents outside their building. Carmi, Eyal, and their daughter, together with other Dror Israel educators and thousands of other Sderot residents, have been living in a hotel by the Dead Sea for the past 3 months. As soon as the war broke out, Dror began running daycares, schools, and afternoon activities at over 50 evacuee centers for tens of thousands of traumatized children displaced from their homes for an indefinite period of time. Welcome to JCC Metro West, and thank you for being here to share your stories.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for having us and for being here today. Can you hear me okay? Okay, great. I'm going to share my screen. So you can take a second. And if I'm looking at the wrong direction, it's because I'm dealing with the presentation. Okay, can you all see it? Yeah, oh, great. Okay, so just a few things about myself. As you know, I'm 35 years old. I work and live in Akko for the past 12 years. And I'm Dror Israel's representative also to New York. And this is my 1-year-old son, Uriah, on his first birthday, trying his first ever chocolate cake. Loved it. And I decided to share his photo because I wanted to share a little detail that I think examples how the war affects all citizens of Israel. When the war broke, Uriah was 10 months old. He was still breastfed, and because of the stress that I experienced during the first days of the war, actually, my breast milk was running low, and the situation of stress really got my milk to finish, and Uriah couldn't breastfeed anymore. This is just like one example of how, even if you don't live in the areas that were attacked directly, the war still affects everyone. And I want you to have that in your minds while our presentation is going.
Hi, I'm Eyal, and originally I'm from Akko, from our educators community of Dror Israel in Akko. I was a teacher for youth at risk for almost 10 years in one of Dror Israel high schools. And in the last 2 years, I was working in Akko as a community organizer with Jewish and Arab citizens of the mixed or shared city of Akko. But almost a year ago, my daughter Niv was born, and I moved to Sderot to live with my partner Karmi. And here you can see the Western Negev in better days. I will tell you, sorry, Mirit will.
So just a minute. So I just want to explain a little bit about Dror Israel on good days, on our day-to-day work, so you understand where we're coming from and why are we doing what we're doing, and why did Karmi and Eyal went through what they went through, and in the Dead Sea. So we have Dror Israel is an educational grassroots organization that has 16 educators community all over Israel throughout the country. From, as you can see, it's from Mitzpe Ramon in the south to Carmiel in the north. And you can see that we have also a few educators community around the Gaza border, which is Sderot and Ashkelon and Beersheba. And also Rehovot, Rishon LeZion, and Tel Aviv, and Petach Tikva. These are all educators community that now live under the threats of rockets. And altogether, we are about 13,000 educators from the ages of 25 till 50. And we operate in like hundreds of towns and cities and villages around Israel, reaching about 150,000 participants each year. Just a second. Let me go through. So we're one of the largest educational organizations in Israel. Our program is so diverse, and it looks very different in each city. Each city wants to tackle each educators community wants to tackle the challenges of the environment around us and the city that it lives in. But it's all a part of our vision to create meaningful long-term educational and social change in Israel, and promoting solidarity and peace and democracy throughout the country. And in each local community, we have different programs that demonstrate it, but I think that overall, it's important to know that we have one of Israel's largest youth organizations or youth movement called Hanoar Oved Valomed, or NOAL, which is the initials, which is a very diverse and inclusive youth movement with Jews and Arabs, Druze and Bedouins, Ethiopian Olim and Russian-speaking Olim. It's in the cities, in the kibbutzim, in the moshavim. It's really, really all over. And all we want is really to make Israel a more just and equal society, and dealing with the issues that having such different communities in the Israeli society brings, and to really make it like a one cohesive society with all the differences that are important to have.
Okay, so first of all, I will say that I'm sorry that I don't see you, because as an educator, I prefer more like a dialogue between people. So we can see here two photos. You can see the view from my balcony. You can see Gaza. And in the left photo, you can see my building where the educators community of Dror Israel in Sderot is settled. You can see like a target on our building. Our building is in the first line of buildings in Sderot in front of the Gaza Strip. And what is written in Arabic and in Hebrew, כל האפשרויות מותרות, all the possibilities, all the options are okay, means everything, everybody in Sderot is a target. And Sderot is only 2 miles, less than 2 miles than the Gaza Strip. Here you can see my lovely daughter, Niv, who was born almost 11 months ago. And we have a tradition, Niv and I, we are going to the balcony when she's a little bit angry, and I show her the religious school, and I show her the playground, and always we finish when I tell her, you can see Gaza, they are our neighbors, and there are kids like you in Gaza, they are good kids. This picture was taken on October 5th, and while Niv and I were playing on the balcony, Hamas terrorists were preparing their brutal massacre. And it was 3 days before our daughter Niv was supposed to start her preschool. What we understood a few days after October 7 is that her preschool was damaged by a rocket from Gaza. Here you can see our safe room. I assume that most of you haven't been in a safe room. What is a safe room? A safe room is like a bomb shelter with a heavy window and a heavy door that you have to close it totally, and it's supposed to be a defense against light rockets. In Israel, every new apartment should have a safe room, but in Sderot until a few years ago, there wasn't like safe rooms in all the apartments, but nowadays there are. You see the number 15 seconds, it means that if in Akko, for example, you have 30 seconds to enter to the safe room when you hear the alarm, so in Sderot, you have only 15 seconds to enter to the room. And I want to dedicate now 15 seconds from your time, I won't speak, and think about what happens if you have 15 seconds and you need to enter to the safe room, or you need to wake up, or you need to enter to the safe room with 1 or 2 or more kids. Okay, I assume it was difficult to think about it. When Niv, my daughter, was 2 months old, I fed her during the night outside of our room, outside of the safe room, and there was an alarm. It was really difficult to run with her to the room. I can tell you that elderly people sometimes stay sitting in their place because they know that they won't get to the safe room on time. Now I will tell you about October 7, as on October 7, on October 7, I was visiting friends in Akko, celebrating my birthday, and also helping them move apartments at something like 6:30 a.m. I got an SMS from Carmi, my partner, telling me that there is like a massive attack on Sderot, and also my parents from Ra'anana and my brothers from Tel Aviv told me that there is an attack. I understood that something not normal is happening, but I knew that Carmi has the experience as a resident of Sderot, and she knows what to do. An hour later, Carmi told me that she hears like sounds of guns, of shots outside our building. And I tried to understand what is happening. I watched few websites, and I got like a film. I watched a film, a short video of terrorists entering in a car to Sderot, and I watched it 15 times, because I didn't understand. I thought it's not possible, and I said to myself, why people are so cruel to send like fake news now? But 2 minutes after, we got a message from the municipality of Sderot telling us to enter to our safe rooms and close the doors of our apartments because terrorists are all over Sderot. So I called Carmi and I told her, please go out from the safe room, close the safe room, close the electric windows, take a charger for your phone and a bit of food, and enter again to the safe room. Carmi didn't want to talk with me on the phone because she didn't want to wake Niv, our daughter, because she knew that if she will hear us talking, Niv will understand, and she will hear that her mother is very, very worried. After 2 hours at 10 o'clock, I saw in a main website terrorists with a gun entering, breaking the window of my building and try to enter into the building. I called Carmi. I was in a very big stress, and she told me that her friend from the building, from our community of educators, called her and asked her to close the windows. And it was her polite Canadian way to say that she saw terrorists from outside. And from this moment, I felt really, really helpless because I don't have a gun, and nobody knew in that moment what to do. So in our WhatsApp group of the building, we heard that a lot of people saw terrorists, and two of our neighbors that usually when there is like an operation in Gaza and rockets are falling over Sderot, they run away from Sderot because they don't want to be stuck in Sderot in the safe room. They ran away with their two daughters, and unfortunately, terrorists captured them and caught them and killed the parents, and the daughter were lying on the floor of the car, and one Bedouin guy who works in Sderot, saved those children life, and but the terrorists caught him and killed him. Few hours later, I went to my parents in Ra'anana, because I wanted to be closer to Sderot to help Karmi when it will be possible. But still I felt okay, because I knew that Karmi is in the safe room and our house is like closed. But at night, the pictures from the kibbutzim started to be published, and I understood that the terrorists were burning houses. And from that moment, I felt so helpless, and I felt so bad because I understood that I have nothing to do, and it's a real option if they are in our neighborhood. I asked Karmi to do something not natural and to tell her friends from our educators community not to come to be with her, as we do usually when there are rockets, because I was afraid that the terrorists are hiding in the building. I think it was the worst night I had ever. I heard about more and more people who were captured and were taken to Gaza, and my family experienced kidnapped before. My uncle was kidnapped in Argentina in the 70s, and after half a year he was killed. So I understood what is going to happen. And the day after, on October 8th, we saw that there was an hour without rockets over Sderot. And Karmi and I spoke with a lot of people trying to help us decide what to do, but nobody knew what to do. We decided that Karmi will leave Sderot with Niv and with our friends after I understood that there is, I read in Twitter that there is like a group of reservists, retired reservists with guns that offer to escort people from Sderot and from the kibbutzim. I fill out the most strange Google forms that I will ever fill out. And I was asked if there are terrorists near my house and near my home, and I told them that there are terrorists, and I don't know if it's relevant to help us, because I know that the situation in the kibbutzim is even worse. But these people told me that it's relevant, and after half an hour, they were there near our building with 2 cars and guns. And then we had a dilemma. Karmi called me and told me, Eyal, I don't know what to do. If I will put Niv in the car seat, what we do every day, then what are we going to do in a case of a terror attack? And I don't wish anyone this dilemma. We decided to hold that Karmi will hold Niv on her knees, and in case of terror attack, she will put her on the floor of the car. Niv was very smiley. All this weekend, she was very smiley. She read a lot. She played a lot. It was really big contradiction. And in our way, she was very smiley. But what Karmi saw was really, really traumatic, a lot of abandoned cars, blood, and she passed near the library where a bus of elderly people who were in their way to the Dead Sea to have like a weekend were all killed. After Carmi got out from Sderot, she put Niv in the car seat, and then we reunited and we met in Tel Aviv. We went to my parents in Ra'anana, and since that day we were calling to Sderot residents. Carmi is part of the welfare department of Sderot, and there is a team of Dror Israel educators that are working in the most underprivileged neighborhoods, and they established before the war a network of more than 600 activists from those neighborhoods that help each other and help each other in emergency. And we call them to understand what is happening with them. We try to help who we understand that are in trouble, like a family of 5 kids with a single mom who was in Tel Aviv, and we called the neighbors and the neighbors from this network, and they risked themselves and went to help those kids that were living in front of the police that was occupied by the terrorists of Hamas. After a few days in Ra'anana, we understood that most of the residents of Sderot, most of the activists from our network went to the Dead Sea. So we decided to leave Ra'anana and to go to the Dead Sea, to live there and to work and reestablish our network of activists. Yes. We lived for more than 3 months in one room with our daughter and Niv. And in the first night we get there, I understood it's totally chaos. I sat with neighbors from Sderot that I didn't know before, because the evacuation was totally chaos, and there were kids that were sitting with us, and it was 12 a.m. And at that moment, I understood that we are in a very big problem, because those parents, we are in a very traumatic situation, and it was so bad that those children had to listen to our conversation. What you can see here in the photo is the hotel committee we decided to establish after we understood that the situation is chaos. I will give you 2 more examples. In one of the hotels, there was like a very big amount of elderly people, and the government and no one didn't have like data how many people got to the Dead Sea. And we understood that a lot of elderly people are in their rooms without their helpers, and some of them are staying there and nobody knows their situation. Maybe they don't have medicine, maybe they are not taking a shower. A lot of donations came to the hotels, and people were fighting over the donations. So we did what we know better. What we know best to do is doing education and community organizing, and we established in 7 hotels. There are almost 12 hotels in the Dead Sea. We established 7 committees. Those committees of residents of Sderot thought together what are our needs, what we need to do. For example, we decided that all the donations that will get to the hotels will be controlled by the committee, and we will divide it in a fair way. Another example, in one of the hotels, as I told you, there were a lot of elderly people, only 2 elevators for a building of 20 floors, and we saw what volunteers that come, and a lot of volunteers came with very, and I'm telling it with a very big appreciation to help people, but they were coming to the lobby. They didn't understand what is happening there. And a lot of elderly people didn't want to wait 15 minutes to the elevator. And the people from the hotel committee saw this situation and decided to go and speak with the directors of the hotel and tell them if they can do something simple, to put a chair near every elevator, 20 floors. Something simple, but changes the life of people. Also, the committee decided to ask the hotel to cook in the hotel for Shabbat, because people were taken out from their homes, taken out from their things that they did, and they wanted to feel in Shabbat that they can do something for their family, for their communities. I will finish my words with Dalia. Dalia is sitting on the blue chair, very worried. She's an amazing woman who, on October 7th, she told me that terrorists were around her house, and she has luck because her sons are part of an elite unit, and they saved their life. And she came to the hotel, to the Dead Sea, traumatized. And I told her, Dalia, I know that you are a preschool teacher, a retired preschool teacher. I think it really will help you to go and work in the preschool of Sderot that Dror Israel reestablished with the municipality. And she told me, Eyal, you are right, but I will tell you, I don't have power. After 1 month, I visited one of the hotels. I visited that preschool, and I saw Dalia. And I said, Dalia, what are you doing now in the preschool? It's Hanukkah. And she told me, Eyal, it's Hanukkah, but those kids suffered so much. They need a frame. They need activity. And I think that the story of Dalia and the story of the hotel committees tells something about the options we have, and maybe about the hope we have. And now Mirit will tell you more about what we did national.
Hi again. So Dror Israel, I will show you the map before I talk about a few stories. As you can see the map, you can see on the right the list of the municipalities, kibbutzim and moshavim and cities that have been evacuated that Dror Israel have worked with. We actually established in 55 hotels of evacuated communities. We established either preschool for the kids, or youth program for the youth, or kids program for the kids, or hotel committees like Eyal just told you about, or a group for young adults. In each hotel, our volunteers actually came in and asked the the people in the hotel, sometimes it's more than one municipality or more than one kibbutz in each hotel, but we asked the people in the hotel, the evacuated people from the hotel, what do you need? And with the people, we established whatever program they said they needed. So it changed, and it was a variety of programs that our educators established in each hotel. Now I want to tell you a little story about these kids. These are amazing young kids from Kibbutz Be'eri. I think you've probably heard the name Be'eri before, and this is a kibbutz that have suffered great loss. Many people were killed, injured, or still held hostage in Gaza. And on October 8th, they were evacuated to the Hotel King David in the Dead Sea. And they called Dror Israel educators who they worked with before, because Dror Israel's youth movement was the youth movement of Kibbutz Be'eri, and they knew us, and they called us and said, we are evacuated to the Dead Sea, and we really need your help to reestablish our preschool system. And on October 10th, Dror Israel sent 22 educators, not just preschool teachers, because we couldn't find that many preschool teachers, but we've just sent educators to the hotel of Kibbutz Be'eri. We've told our educators, the Dror Israel educators, we've told them, you have to commit to go there for 2 months. And we managed to find 22 educators to go to the hotel of Kibbutz Be'eri for 2 months. Now it's even more, but back then we knew we wanted them to go for 2 months. And we want you to establish with the people of Be'eri the preschools. And why preschools? First, because the kids need their preschool. The kids need that stability and that sense of normality that we were able to provide. And also their parents. It's people who are sitting Shiva in hotel rooms, in hotel lobbies. We wanted to allow the parents, young adults, like 20, they're in their 30s, their 40s, they've lost their parents, they've lost sometimes even their co-parents, their partner. We wanted to allow them to breathe, and we wanted to allow them to have quiet while they rearrange their lives in the hotel. So we sent these educators to the kibbutz, to the hotel, and they started to work with the parents and with the people of Be'eri to establish with donations these 6 preschools for kids from the age of 0 to the age of 6. Some of the preschool classes have lost children. Some of them have lost their kindergarten teachers. All the kindergarten teachers were not able to be with the kids at the moment, even if they were alive. They were so traumatized. And while they were going and while they were on their first days, the educators noticed that we've placed these, you can see on the picture, these plastic homes, these plastic toys that the kids can hide in. And we've noticed that the kids are hiding inside these plastic houses, and they're being quiet. And the educators went inside and went with the kids and sat with the kids, and they asked very quietly, what are we hiding from? And then the kids said, shh, we have to hide from the terrorists. And it was actually the kids were playing or reliving what happened to them on October 7th, because they had to hide from terrorists, and their parents told them they have to be quiet, unless otherwise they would be found and something terrible would happen. And we were shocked. The educators, they were shocked that this is what they're hearing, and they went to the psychologists that we very thoughtfully asked to guide us. And the psychologist said that this is actually a very important part of dealing with trauma for kids. What the kids are doing is that they are reliving what happened. And the psychologists told the educators that what's important is that they give them the ability to come out as the winners on the game, so that they will ventilate their thoughts and experiences, but that time they will come out as the winners and as the people who have the strength to overcome their fears. And this is what we let them do. And the educators have let them relive and relive again and again that story, but come out as the winners. And this is also, I think, tells the story of what the Dror Israel educators were trying to do, even with the older people, even with the parents, with the whole community. We wanted these people who had great losses and have lived through the most horrible trauma possible to retell their story, but leave their story as the winners. Another quick story is that one of the kids, oh, sorry, also an educator from our frameworks, from our programs. One of the kids went to his educator and told him, my father was murdered. You're nice, maybe you can be my father now. It's just things that our educators are now having to deal with. I mean, nobody prepared them for it, and nobody knew that we were going to have to face these kind of questions from children. But this is what happened. Now, I want to finish with the last story, which is a story of hope. I don't know if you know that, but the Ministry of Education in Israel have recently published very, very disturbing data that says that between 60 to 70% of evacuated teenagers from the classes of 10th grade to 12th grade have not gone back to school, even though they can. I mean, even though school is back and the Ministry of Education late, but made sure that every teenager will have a classroom and a teacher to go to, even if they are evacuated from their home, even if they're in a hotel in Eilat or the Dead Sea or Haifa or wherever. Each teenager had the opportunity to go to school. But 60 to 70% of these kids who were evacuated didn't go back to school and are not attending school regularly. Now that's horrible for kids who suffered that trauma. What Dror Israel did and still doing is offering kids, regardless to even if they're going to school or not going to school, but offering kids and teenagers the opportunity to participate in a young counselor course, very quick one, to become the young counselors of the little kids in the hotels. We're talking about evacuated teenagers. We offer them the opportunity to take responsibility over their community in order to give them a sense of normality and to give them a sense of meaning so that they feel like they have a role. Because I think that maybe you can identify that this situation is a situation where a lot of people just feel helpless. They're sitting at home with nothing to do with what happens in Israel. You can be either evacuated or you can be someone from the Metro West Federation. A lot of people now feel they are helpless in their situation and in their lives. And we're trying to give as many people as we can. These people in the hotel committees, the young adolescents in the hotels, the kids in the preschools, everybody, just a sense of meaning. And we've actually brought more than 300 evacuated teenagers to a few rounds of courses and taught them how to be young counselors. And they are now, just like in a summer camp, if you have been, and they are now being the young counselors for the kids from their hotel, from their community. It's very, very simple, but it's a very, very simple thing to do, to give someone who's in distress and who's had trauma the reason to wake up in the morning. And this is what we are doing in 55 hotels around Israel. Now I'll finish here. If you have any questions and you want to ask, please, I think Katie will facilitate that, but we're happy to answer any questions.
So I want to say, I take a deep breath, but I want to say thank you to both of you for sharing your story. It's unfathomable, and I think please, if you have any questions, put it in the chat box. I just want to, I don't even know that these are the right words, but commend you, or I can't imagine how you have each gone through your own trauma. Eyal, you talked about not being with, your partner and your daughter, and, the trauma, and then finding a way to give back to the community and to continue to persevere. I mean, that's truly hope for all of us here. So thank you. There have been a few questions about the safe room. And so if you could talk a little bit about, just for those that don't understand, is your safe room stocked with food? What are the materials? I mean, for Carmi to have been in there with your daughter for an extensive period of time, is there baby supplies? Talk a little bit about your safe room.
So there is no special lock for our door, because nobody imagined before October 7 that he will have to close his door against terrorists. I knew that Hamas, if they have the option, they will kill elderly, they will kill kids. But I believed in our IDF. I believed that it's not like an option, that I will have to close my safe room with a special lock. I can say that after a few days, our students from our high school in Haifa, vocational school, decided to build locks and to distribute them through the IDF to people who live in the north. If people of Sderot and the kibbutzim had this lock on October 7, maybe it could help. You can see it here in the photo. It's a simple trick. We didn't have food in our room, but Carmi brought food to the room. We had all the supplies we need for our daughter, because this is our room, and we knew we are prepared for situations of staying in the safe room for 1 hour, for half a day, but we weren't, I'm saying it sadly, we weren't prepared for this situation. I can say that almost every day I'm thinking now, what should I put in my safe room when and if I will go back to Sderot. And even now, when I'm hosted in Akko, after 3 months in the Dead Sea, I'm more prepared than I was before.
If I may add, it's like something that the the Homefront Command of the IDF and the government are like saying to people in Israel, you should have in your safe room at all times water and food supplies for 3 days. Now, I think that almost nobody follows that direction like on a day-to-day basis, because nobody expected ever to need to be in the safe room for 3 days. I think that now after October 7th, every safe room in Israel has supply and food and water for 3 days, which is sad. Because
if they have safe room.
If they have a safe room, which is sad because we now know what can happen, and I wish we didn't. And also, nobody ever thought to lock their safe room, because actually a safe room shouldn't be locked. It's a room that should allow people to go in even after the alarm, or if it took them more time to run. You don't want to lock it. You want to make it, you want to close the door, but if someone has to run in, you want to allow them to come in even after everybody went in. Now we have to think, okay, do I want to lock my safe room, or do I want to leave it open for in case somebody needs to run and I didn't know they were in the house? So that's the kind of calculations we now have to do after seeing what happened in October 7th.
I'm fielding questions. Someone is asking, does your organization overlap or work with hand in hand?
We are in we have some relationships with hand in hand, and one of their schools is in one of our educators communities, but we don't really overlap because they have a few schools in Israel, and we're not doing exactly the same work, but we love hand in hand, and they do amazing work in my eyes.
So Eyal, you had mentioned, and I think we talked before today, that we were hoping for this to be a dialogue, a conversation. So I guess if this was a conversation, what do you want Americans to know? What's the message that you want us to take away?
It's a difficult dialogue and a difficult question. First of all, I will say that a lot of time when people are describing the relationship between Jewish people not here, I'm now in New York, but in Israel and with the Jewish people of North America and around the world, they are using the word support in cases of emergency. And always, I didn't like the word support. I prefer the word partnership or relationship, because I feel now more than ever that we are in the same boat. You feel the rising anti-Semitism because of what is happening in Israel. Our destiny is common. I will mention a few things that I think are important for me, many expectations. First of all, the kidnapped people that were captured to Gaza. I hope that people around the world are with them now. Like we say in every Seder of Pesach, in every generation, you should feel like you went out from Egypt. So I feel that now everyone should feel, if his parents or kids were captured in Gaza, and everyone should do what he can do with his representatives in the government, things like that. Another thing that I'm thinking about, I want you to know that Israel right now is not just suffering. We are suffering a trauma, a national trauma, but we in Dror Israel and other organizations also, we are trying to do rehabilitation to the Israeli society, to the people that were evacuated. The Jewish people suffered for 2,000 years from pogroms and from very bad things. And I think that we know that we have we have a weapon. I think that our weapon is the memory. And another weapon we have is the education. And we in Dror Israel, we believe that what we will do now can help deal with the trauma. Because if people, what our psychologists that we are working with told us, that it's very important what you do with people that suffered from trauma in the first days after the trauma. What we are doing now is giving emotional, educational first aid to those kids. And I will say also to myself, as a resident of Sderot and as a counselor and a community organizer for evacuated people. And it's very important for me that you will know that Israel also have hope. And there are good things that are happening now in Israel, because if you know that there is hope, you have something to fight for.
Yes. Yes. We have a question actually from our early childhood director at JCC Metro West. For those that are visiting Israel that are educators, do you have room for volunteers at Dror Israel, even if it's just for a couple of days? Is that something that your organization is looking for or can use?
So I'll answer a complicated answer. Overall, we're trying not to get people for a few days, because one of our goals in what we do is to keep a sense of stability, so that the children who've suffered so much trauma will have stable figures and adults in their lives. That's like the main idea. However, if you contact us, and I'll just give you my contact information in a second, we can try to think together what you can do and how you can help, because I think that it's very important for us to see the support, to see your financial support, to see your in-person support, to see that people want to come and to help and to give whatever they can. So it's a both way answer. So please, at the end, I'll share how you can contact us, and please just share your dates and your itinerary, and we'll think of something together.
Thank you for that. There's another question. How are Israel's Arab citizens being incorporated into your activities during this very difficult time?
So that's a very important question, first of all. So as I told you in the beginning, what Dror Israel's youth movement has 20% Arab students, which is also their percentage in society. And I have to say that in the first few days, it was really, really hard. There was a really, really big scare, and everybody was fearful that something like happened in May 2021 during Operation Guardian of the Walls, where there were riots of Arab Israelis within Israel that were actually being led by Hamas and all like Iran through TikTok. We were scared that this is going to happen again. And I live in Akko. I have Arab neighbors. I go to the bank and I stand with Arab people on the line waiting for service. I have friends who are Arab and people I know, but it was scary. And I think that something very rare happened on October 7th, which I wished it never happened, but it did. October 7th happened, so that was one of what happened after, is that I think Arab Israelis actually felt that this attack was also against them. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the stories of Arab people and the Bedouins in the Negev, and that this attack was also against them. And Bedouins and Arab citizens of Israel have been kidnapped and have been killed. And there was like, I know you probably saw maybe on the news, there was like this Arab people who were standing like this and saying to the terrorists, "We're Muslims, we're like you, we're in Arabic." They spoke Arabic and they were still shot and they were still hurt by the terrorists. So I think they really understand that this is a mutual enemy, Hamas, and that they are scared just like us Jews, and that this is against Israelis. Since October 7th, we've seen from our participants from the youth movement and from the leaders of the youth movement, the Arab leadership of the youth movement, and also from my friends in Akko, we've seen a lot of desire to help and to be a part. We went together in Akko to the buildings and to the bomb shelters in the buildings and in the neighborhoods. We went together, Jews and Arabs, to see the bomb shelters, to make sure that it's staffed with whatever it needs to be staffed with. I mean, at the end of the day, if there's an alarm in Akko, and we've had a few, and if the war in the north broke, we would have to go to the same bomb shelter, Jews and Arabs together, and live in a bomb shelter for a few days. So, I mean, of course, there's exceptions, but overall, I think that I can say that it's we're together in this. I do have to say that since what happens in Gaza is getting worse and worse, and there are more and more people dying in Gaza, and these are relatives of people I know from Akko. Arab Israelis from Akko have relatives in Gaza, and they see what happens there, and it becomes difficult for them. They have these two identities, and it's really complicated. And as time goes by, and as the war in Gaza gets more and more difficult, I think it becomes more of a challenge for them to carry these two identities. And for me, that's also part of what I want to be there for them, to be helpful for them to carry these two identities and not to let go of each one of
them. Another question was, and teenagers that were not necessarily so close to Gaza, that are not necessarily refugees and living in the hotels, are they interacting with some of your endeavors in the hotels? Are they helping out? Are they volunteering? And what does that look like?
So yes, this is a great question. So yes, Dror Israel is involved with thousands of teenagers in our day-to-day work. And one of our goals is actually to take these teenagers and to also to them, to give them a sense of meaning, to say to them, you have a role in this war. This is not a war only for soldiers. This is not a war only for the people who've been evacuated from their homes. Even if your reality is still intact, even if your school is still going on, even if your family was nothing happened to your family, luckily, you still have a role in this reality. And we've taken students from our youth movement, and we've asked them to go to the hotels and to be young counselors for the kids in the hotels, and to go and pick fruits and do agricultural work, and to pack packages for soldiers. There's been like huge wave of volunteerism with our students from our youth movement and from our students from our schools, from our network of schools. And I'm sorry. And this is amazing. This is amazing to see that the Israeli society really is educated to helping one another and to be united. Even though I'm sure all of you know that before the war, there was a lot of conflict between all types of different people in Israeli society. We've taken a lot of teenagers and we've given them a role, and they wanted to take it, and they are amazing.
I will add something shortly. I understood after October 7 that the army, the IDF is very important, and technology is very important, but all the technology in the world won't stop people that want to kill you and want to destroy you. And the power of the Israeli society is not only from the IDF and from different initiatives and technologies. I think that if we look over the story of Israel, of the foundation of Israel, you can see that the story of Israel is a story of people, of pioneers, of people who managed to work in a group and to establish different initiatives. And because of that, what Mirit told you about the courses we are doing for teenagers to be counselors for young kids, it's not like, it can sound like a nice thing to do, a summer camp, but I really believe in it. I believe that if we will see thousands of young people and teenagers and the elderly people, that they will feel that they are responsible for their communities, so our society will be stronger. And this is the main thing that gives me hope when I ask myself what will be the future of Israel in these circumstances.
I think we're going to close it off. Mirit has shared her contact information about Dror Israel. Just so everyone is aware, we have recorded this conversation, and in a few days we will be sharing it out, so that please spread the word about Dror Israel, the amazing, incredible, heroic, brave. I could keep going on with the adjectives, the work that you're doing on the ground in Israel amongst your own trauma and experiences. So I will say that there's been some comments, and just know that we are here with you and that we support you, and anything that we could do to show that support for you and for Israel and for Dror.
Thank you so much.
And with that, yes. Any last words, Mirit Eyal? Please share our love with Carmi, who I know is not feeling well.
It's really important for us to meet you and to see all your support and all your care. It helps us. Personally, I'm saying that it helps us to see this.
Thank you so much for being here and for hearing what we have to say. And I hope you spread the word, and I hope that you, on your Shabbat table, say a few words, and that's meaningful for us.
Shabbat shalom to everyone, and thank you for being here with us today.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you so much.